Welcome back, Focus Learners. Today, we're diving into a brand new explainer, and we are unpacking the definitive roadmap for Bangladeshi exporters who are looking to completely conquer Latin America's largest economy. If you're trying to diversify your export destinations and finally reduce that dependence on your traditional markets, well, you are in exactly the right place.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Just look at the sheer scale here. Between 2024 and 2025, Brazil exported a massive $2.72 billion worth of goods to Bangladesh. But on the flip side, Bangladesh's exports to Brazil sat at just $187 million. Now, at first glance, I know, that is a wildly staggering trade deficit. But in the world of global trade, a deficit like this isn't a dead end, it's actually a massive, completely untapped opportunity. Think about it. It proves there's already an established trade route and an active relationship. It's just that right now the traffic is mostly one way. So our main goal today is to show you exactly how Bangladeshi businesses can bridge that gap.
To do that, we're going to walk through a very precise playbook. We'll quickly cover the massive opportunity, identify the high-potential sectors, give you a step-by-step market entry playbook, talk about cracking the culture, go over the crucial mistakes to avoid, and finally, winning with the BBCI.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the massive opportunity, and why Brazil is truly Latin America's economic giant. 212 million. Let that number sink in for a second. That is Brazil's population. We are talking about a colossal consumer base with a rapidly growing middle class, a highly developed retail network, and a massive appetite for competitively priced imported products. And honestly, the timing couldn't be better. Brazil's economy has shown remarkable resilience, expanding by 2.3% in 2025. So for you, as a Bangladeshi exporter, this means you aren't just entering a large market. You're entering an active, hungry market that is actively seeking the exact kinds of products Bangladesh already excels at producing.
Which brings us to Section 2, high potential sectors. Let's look at where Bangladesh already has a massive competitive edge.
And this brilliantly illustrates why you can't just export and hope for the best. You really need precision targeting. We need to map exactly what Bangladesh makes best directly to the specific buyers in Brazil. Take ready-made garments, or RMG, for example. We all know Bangladesh is a global powerhouse here. But in Brazil, your target isn't just generic buyers, it's mid-range retail importers and private label buyers who are hunting for casual wear and denim. Then there's jute. Brazil is leaning heavily into sustainability right now. So positioning jute bags not just as a product but as a biodegradable alternative for Brazilian supermarkets and eco-distributors, that is a huge win. For pharmaceuticals, the market is huge but incredibly highly regulated. This means you absolutely have to target local partners who deeply understand the local legal landscape. And finally, for ceramics, you'll want to target the booming Brazilian hospitality sector. So, all those hotels and restaurants.
So now you know what to sell and who to sell it to. Let's jump into Section 3, your market entry playbook, taking you all the way from planning to execution. Okay, so here is your 5-phase blueprint. But hold on, before you even take step 1, you have to realize that treating Brazil as a single, uniform market is a massive mistake. It is literally a continental-sized country. Product demand and distribution channels vary wildly from state to state. A golden rule to remember: São Paulo is the country's main commercial hub, and it's almost always your best starting point. Once you focus your energy there, you can execute these 5 steps. First, research your specific regional market and taxes. Second, prepare pristine export documentation. Third, choose your entry model, like are you doing direct export or using a local distributor? Fourth, dial in that pricing strategy. And fifth, absolutely crucially, build buyer trust. Let's actually zoom in on that first step for a second, because it trips up a lot of exporters. So the crucial point here is mastering the NCM code. Think of this as Brazil's version of the harmonized system for product classification. Why is this so vital? Well, Brazil's tax structure is notoriously complex, and your NCM code basically dictates everything. For a lot of imported goods, you're looking at a combined general, PIS, and COFINS rate of 11.75%, plus state-level value-added taxes called ICMS, and those are calculated on the CIF value plus other import taxes. Honestly, if you get your NCM code wrong, your entire financial projection just collapses. And that directly brings us to a major mindset shift you need regarding your pricing strategy. You really can't just offer a cheap factory gate price and expect to win in Brazil. You have to calculate the total landed cost. That means factoring in the freight, the insurance, those complex import duties we literally just talked about, and inland transportation. A product that looks super cheap leaving a factory in Dhaka might completely price itself out of the market by the time it finally reaches a warehouse in São Paulo.
Brazilian buyers want value over just the lowest bidder. They want reliability, consistent quality, ethical production, and a partner who actually understands their landed costs. You need to pitch long-term reliability, not just a cheap one-off shipment.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 4, cracking the culture. This is where trust matters way more than fast transactions.
You see, Brazilian business culture is what we call high context. Transactions don't just happen in a vacuum. They happen between people who genuinely trust each other. So here are your absolute etiquette non-negotiables. First, schedule things well in advance and dress professionally. Also, know that meetings are going to start with informal conversation. Do not rush this. It builds that essential foundation of trust. Next, prepare for long negotiations. Decisions there require multiple stakeholders getting on board, so patience is a major virtue. And crucially, invest in Portuguese marketing materials. Look, yes, the executives speak English, but handing them a beautiful catalog or showing a website localized in Portuguese, that shows a level of commitment that instantly sets you apart from competitors who just didn't bother.
Let's get into the pragmatic reality of all this in Section 5, mistakes to avoid. You can think of these as your essential exporter guardrails.
So many promising opportunities just die because companies repeat these exact totally avoidable mistakes. Please do not assume that a product line that crushes it in the EU or the Middle East will automatically succeed in Brazil. Consumer tastes and market preferences are highly distinct. Also, don't ignore the language barrier. It will absolutely delay your negotiations. Never, ever submit incomplete customs documents. In Brazil, that basically equals massive delays and hefty fees. Stop relying on cold, unsolicited emails because they rarely ever work. And finally, underestimating the need for a local representative or distributor is just a fatal flaw. You absolutely need boots on the ground.
So how do you actually get those boots on the ground? Well, that brings us to Section 6, winning with BBCI, your dedicated bridge to Brazil.
You don't have to navigate these complex waters alone. The Brazil-Bangladesh Chamber of Commerce and Industry, or BBCII, is essentially your ultimate mentor in this market. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that they aren't just some administrative body, they are an active catalyst. They provide deep market intelligence, they coordinate trade missions, and most importantly, they run dedicated B2B matchmaking programs. When trust is quite literally the currency of Brazilian business, having an established institution like BBCII vouch for you and connect you directly with verified, reliable Brazilian buyers, that completely bypasses the friction of starting from scratch.
And their absolute flagship initiative is the Made in Bangladesh Expo, held right in the commercial heart of São Paulo. Digital marketing and LinkedIn outreach are great, for sure, but this expo is the ultimate launchpad. It puts you face-to-face with the real decision-makers, importers, distributors, and industry leaders. In a culture that places so much value on personal relationships, a firm handshake and handing over a physical product sample at this expo is infinitely more productive than firing off 1,000 cold emails.
We've seen the unbelievable scale of that 212 million strong consumer base. We've mapped out the exact product sectors where Bangladesh holds the winning cards. We've broken down the complexities of NCM codes, landed costs, and why you absolutely have to build trust in Portuguese. So I leave you with this final provocative thought. Are you going to just continue fighting for shrinking margins in your traditional crowded markets? Or is Brazil your next great strategic frontier? The opportunity is mapped out. The institutional support from BBCI is waiting. The next move is entirely yours. Thanks for joining me on this Explainer Focus Learners. Keep exploring, and I'll catch you next time.